Hello, everyone. Rick Thomas here. I got a question for you. What if God is not an American and his primary concern is not to keep us from having first world problems? Is it possible that the Lord has another plan than our pursuit of happiness that is not according to our unique desires to have our lives our way? Sometimes we can fall asleep at the wheel of life, and the Lord brings a correction that reminds us where our focus should be. It is in those moments of challenge that we finally realize that God is not an American. Sometimes God's ways are not easy to discern. You remember what Isaiah said in 55:8 and 9? His thoughts are like high as the heavens. They are higher than ours. They transcend ours. Our thoughts, our desires, well, because of that he is here and we are here, our thoughts and desires are not always in line with his. A sovereign being will always function from a macro perspective that encompasses the eternal past, our current present, and the eternal future, and he will do this flawlessly. His created beings are not like that. Our view is no farther than the horizon that is before us or today's to-do list. We don't even understand our past correctly, and we can't see into the future. And what we think we want is not always what we need. There are times in our lives where the things that seem to feel right, and they just feel so right, but they end in disappointment. Think about some of the decisions that you made, and now that you're looking in the rearview mirror, you realize you didn't have the clarity that you needed, or maybe your desires were a little bit skewed. And even though we don't know it at the time of wanting it, we do realize that upon reflection. You see, Proverbs says in 14:12, there is a way that seems right to a man, but the end is the way of death. And so because of our finiteness, because of our limited knowledge, because we can't transcend and have a macro view, having God as the object of our faith becomes vital. It's like looking through a telescope, and whatever you see on the end, that is the object of your faith. And I trust that God is the object of your faith. That is the most vital thing that we can look at. But ironically, trusting someone other than ourselves is not only un-American, but it is counter to what is native in all of us. There is something inside of us that makes it hard to trust somebody besides ourselves. You could say that Adam ever liveth, and our Adamic natures can recoil at the thought of depending on someone other than ourselves, because we know that God is different from us. We have a sense of justice. We have a sense of protection. We have a sense of fairness. And sometimes if we are not focused on God rightly, it can drive us further into ourselves rather than forcing us on God. We instinctively react this way because we have this intuitive knowledge, a gut feeling that the Lord is different from us. And that's why the dot that we want to connect here is knowing he is not like us, and because of that, sometimes we can question his goodness. Our senses can drive us to ask two important questions about God. The first one is, especially when things aren't going well for us, is God good? But then there is a more personal question that we can ask. It's more acute. And that question is, does he mean good for me? Now, these two questions are watershed questions that will alter your life. Let me give you an illustration of what I'm talking about. The day Jesus died on the cross, these two questions, is God good? And more personal, is God good to me? They were no longer theoretical concepts disassociated from the disciples' penetrating anxiety. They were riveting realities that sent them scurrying for self-protection. They were not sure if God was good. They were not sure if God intended good for them. And that is exactly what can happen when things become difficult and different from how we anticipated. Now, his friends eventually repented of their sins, and they began to embrace his counterintuitive perspective and methods, and it saved them from themselves, which is one of the goals, I believe, of Christianity. There's a salvation that lands us in heaven. It's called being regenerated, but there is also an earthly salvation, I'll put that in quotation marks, that practically redeems us from ourselves. When the disciples repented of their sins, and when they got on the right track with the Lord, they began living a post-resurrection life of faith. They were no longer scurrying from the Lord, even though He's so counter from us. And so one of the ways that I want you to think about these concepts is I want to give you 3 lists. And I trust that these 3 lists, that it's just four things on each list, but I trust that they will aid you in thinking through some of the things that I'm sharing. The first list are a few things that all Christians want, things that you want, things that I most definitely desire. This is an abbreviated list. This is not an exhaustive list, but just a short list of things that you and I, that we desire. For example, number 1, we want to have eternal life, right? All Christians want to have eternal life. Number 2, we want someone to declare us not guilty. I'm talking about justification, to be justified. We want someone to slam the gavel down and say throughout the courtroom, not guilty, you are justified. And so we want eternal life. We want someone to declare us not guilty. We want someone to clothe us in righteousness. We have this internal reality of knowing that we're immoral beings. The biblical terminology for this is totally depraved. And we want someone to clothe us in righteousness. The Bible would call that an alien righteousness. It's not ours. It's another righteousness. It's Christ that He gives to us. We want eternal life. We want to experience justification. We want to be clothed in righteousness. And then number 4, we hope to experience freedom from shame. That internal awkwardness that we all carry. Well, these are some of the benefits of Christianity. God gives those things to us, but this is what I want you to think about with my second list I want to share with you. That these benefits of being a believer come at a cost. And so as you listen to this 4-point second list, I want you to think about the price of receiving these things while asking the Lord to help you to grow in gratitude for His incredible sacrifice. I know many of you are already grateful. I'm not saying that you aren't, but we can always add to our gratitude. And I trust as you think about the cost of these benefits, these 4 benefits that I just laid out before you, as you think about the cost, that it will help you to grow in even more gratitude for the Lord for His incredible sacrifice. Our benefits were not free. They cost Christ more than we could ever imagine. For example, second list, number 1, Jesus gave us His life so we could have eternal life. Number 2, Jesus drank the Father's wrath so we could be not guilty, justified. Number 3, Jesus became naked for us to be clothed in His righteousness. And then number 4, Jesus was accused instead of us, so we would be free from shame. As you can see, to get all of these good things, Jesus had to do hard things. That makes Christ our example, who lays out a path for us to walk. an un-American path to walk. But the guarantee is that if we take up our crosses, though the journey is hard, no question, the result is beyond our wildest dreams. Jesus told his disciples this in Matthew 16. He said, if anyone would come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me. For whoever would save his life will lose it, but whoever loses his life for my sake will find it. For what will it profit a man if he gains the whole world and forfeits his soul? Or what shall a man give in return for his soul? That's Matthew 16, 24, 25, and 26. The way of the cross that I'm describing here is a very hard path, and this is where we come to the hard part of this video. The question for you is, what is most vital to you? Health, wealth, other American benefits that are most certainly attainable from our prosperous country. Now, what I don't want you to hear, and I'm certainly not suggesting that you should pray for sickness or pray for financial reversals. May you live a long life. May you become wealthy, especially if it leads to generosity. I don't think that having fitness and having health or financial goals are wrong. More power to you. And I don't want you to hear in this video that I'm anti-American. I'm not anti-American at all. I love America, and I'd rather live here than any place in the world. And I think most of you would affirm that. Even folks who don't live here, many of them would like to live here. I love our country, and I love the common grace that God has shed across our country and the blessings that we have observed. So I'm not anti-American, but I do think that there are times when we need to think about the correction that God is bringing into our lives, because there is no question that we can fall asleep at the wheel of life because of the accrual of these benefits that are so wonderful to have. And so if you have health and you continue to pray for health and finances, yeah, as I said, more power to you. But the more crucial thing from the first list, eternal life, justification, clothed in righteousness, and no more shame, we should desire those things. But the question that I'm asking, what is more important to you? Which leads, how do you attain those things? If those things are most important, and I trust they are, then the question is, how do you attain those wonderful benefits? And so I'm going to ask you that will you spend some time in reflection, spend some time in prayer, spend some time thinking about the path to those wonderful benefits from our generous Lord. Now, I've given you 4 things that are beneficial. I've given you 4 things that mirrored the cost of those benefits. And now here's the third list, 4 things that we have to do in order to enjoy these benefits. Number 1, you must die. You must die to yourself. Number 2, you must come out of the world. Number 3, you must be last. Number 4, you must humble yourself. Now, there's more things, as you know, but it gives you the idea of what it costs us if we're truly going to follow Jesus. He said in Mark 8 this, for what does it profit a man to gain the whole world and forfeit his soul? For what can a man give in return for his soul? In Mark 8, 36 and 37. Now, I'm confident that you could add more things to all 3 of my list. What you want from God, what Christ did in order to receive them, and what we must do to get to this wonderful place in our experience with God. And so the primary question that I want to leave you with in this video, at least a question to start with, what is it that you really want? Or maybe you can ask it this way, what is most essential to you? Now, I trust that Christ is your highest prize. And if Christ is your highest prize, there are some beautiful benefits that are going to come. Those benefits came at a cost to Him. But we are called to take up our cross and to walk our path, which is a path of suffering, and it's a very un-American path. It's a very un-American path, and that's why I kind of led with, do you know that sometimes God can be very un-American? Now, if you would like to talk about this video, we have free community forums on our website. Unfortunately, because of the expansion of our ministry and the thousands of people who come to us and ask questions, it's not really possible for us to be on our social media platforms because we have several, and it's not possible for us to be on all of those platforms answering questions. And I don't say that to discourage you, because my desire is to help you. We have no greater desire than to come alongside you and to serve you with whatever is happening in your life. But that's why we set up free community forums on our website. It won't cost you a dime. There's no hook. There's no catch whatsoever. You do have to have your username and password, but that is just a safety protocol because we want to protect our community. But it's all free to you. We're not asking you for anything, except we want you to come and ask your questions, and so you can do that freely on our community forums. If you would like to receive training, which is one of the primary things that we do in our ministry, we train people in how to do biblical counseling or how to do discipleship. There's a link here under this video where you can learn about that. By the way, if you want to read the transcript of what I've just shared with you, there's a link here that will take you to our website where you can read a full transcript, or you can also listen to the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me for this video.